Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
It is fantastic to be here.
So, I want to start with a hypothetical. I want you to imagine the absolute perfect employee.
Go.
And I don't just mean someone who's, good at their job. I mean someone who has memorized every single PDF in your Google Drive, knows your entire website by heart, understands every nuance of your return policy, never sleeps, never needs coffee, and answers customers instantly at 4 a.m. on a Sunday.
That sounds less like an employee and more like a very expensive piece of science fiction, or maybe a manager's fantasy.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. What if I told you that you could train this employee in about 10 minutes?
Okay, now I'm listening.
Today, we are unpacking a platform called Chatbase. It's a no-code tool that claims to let businesses build custom AI chatbots using their own data. The pitch is pretty aggressive. Stop building complex software and just start training your AI.
Well, it's a bold pitch, but it does reflect a massive shift in the landscape. We're moving away from the era where building a bot meant hiring, 3 engineers and a conversational designer for 6 months?
Exactly.
Now the expectation is just immediacy. Customer support expectations have gone through the roof. People do not want to wait 24 hours for an email ticket anymore.
Right, and businesses are drowning in the same 5 questions over and over. Where's my order? How do I reset my password? So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out, is Chatbase actually the strategic tool to solve these bottlenecks?
Or is it just another wrapper around ChatGPT that's going to, hallucinate and embarrass your brand?
That is the million-dollar question. We need to look at this not just as cool tech, but as a business decision. Does this actually save time, or does it just create a whole new kind of headache?
I think we have to start with the how.
Let's do it, because the biggest claim here is speed to value. They say you can have a bot running in minutes. But I've been burned by no-code promises before.
Oh, me too.
Usually no-code just means learn a different, slightly less complicated code.
I hear that skepticism, and usually I'd agree. Do you remember the old days of chatbots, the whole decision tree era?
Oh, vaguely. And then painfully.
You had to visually map out every possible thing a human might say. If user says shipping, go to branch B. If user says broken, go to branch C.
You were basically coding a flowchart.
A very brittle flowchart.
Yeah.
And if the customer said something you didn't predict, the bot would just break.
I'm sorry I didn't catch that.
Exactly. Chatbase is fundamentally different because it's an LLM, a large language model. You don't tell it how to answer, you just give it the information.
So it ingests your data.
It ingests your data, and data here is pretty broad. PDFs, Word docs, plain text, and it crawls your website URLs. But there's one specific integration that stood out to me as a massive signal for who this is built for.
What's that?
Notion pages.
Notion. Really?
Yeah.
Why is that one specifically a big deal?
Because for a huge chunk of modern startups and agencies, Notion is their operating system. It's where the employee handbook lives. It's where the product specs are.
Ah, I see.
So being able to just point Chatbase at your Notion workspace and say, learn this, it bypasses the massive step of having to export and format everything. It lowers the friction to almost zero.
So it reads your Notion, reads your website, and then what? You just let it loose on your customers? That feels risky.
Well, no. They have a playground. It's basically a sandbox environment right in the dashboard.
Okay.
You upload a PDF, and 10 seconds later, you can chat with the bot to see if you actually understood the PDF. You can try to break it before your customers do.
Okay, that sounds safer. But here's where I get a little confused. The source material mentions that Chatbase isn't just one brain. You can actually choose the underlying model. You can swap between GPT-4, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, or Gemini.
Yes, and this is a crucial feature that I think a lot of people gloss over.
But why does it matter? I mean, isn't AI just AI at this point? Why would a business owner care if it's running on Claude or GPT-4?
It matters because they have different strengths, different costs, and different context windows.
Okay, pause. Context window. Break that down for us.
Think of the context window as the bot's short-term memory, its attention span.
Okay.
Imagine you hand an employee a 500-page training manual. A model with a small context window might read page 500 and completely forget what was on page 1. You can't hold the whole book in its head at once.
Okay, so if I have a massive technical documentation library, that really matters.
Precisely. Claude, specifically the models mentioned like Sonnet or Opus, is famous for having a massive context window. It can read a huge amount of data simultaneously and synthesize an answer from page 5, page 100, and page 300 all at once.
Wow.
GPT-4 is fantastic at reasoning and logic, but it might be more expensive. Gemini might be faster. Having that switch means you can tune the bot to your specific needs. You aren't locked into one way of thinking.
So you're basically casting the right actor for the role.
That's a great analogy.
If you need a heavy reader, you hire Claude. If you need a logician, you hire GPT-4.
That's it. And once you've cast the actor, you have to direct them. And this brings us to the temperature setting.
Temperature, which makes it sound like we're baking a cake.
In a way, you are. Temperature controls the randomness or creativity of the AI. It's usually a slider from 0 to 1.
So if I set it to 1, the bot is what? A poet?
A poet, or maybe a hallucinating improviser. High temperature means it takes risks with language. It's more engaging, more human, but it's much more likely to make things up.
Okay.
So if you're a creative agency, maybe you want a temperature of 0.7. You want it to be witty.
But if I'm a law firm?
You want that slider at 0. Absolutely 0. You want strict adherence to the facts. You do not want the bot getting creative with your terms of service. You want it to be a boring, reliable librarian.
And you can also give it system instructions, right? You can literally type in, you are a helpful support agent who loves emojis and hates jargon.
Or you are a cynical troubleshooter who only gives one-word answers. Please don't do that, by the way.
Right?
But yes, the ability to shape the persona is what keeps this from feeling like a generic robot. It allows the bot to feel like an extension of your specific brand voice.
Okay, so we've got the brain, we've got the personality. But answering questions is only half the battle. If I'm running a business, I don't just want a bot that talks. I want a bot that works. The sources talk about AI actions. Is this where the rubber meets the road?
This is the strategic edge. This is what separates a knowledge base from an agent. Chatbase isn't just looking up facts. It can actually interact with other software.
Give me an example. Walk me through a user journey.
Okay, so imagine a potential client lands on your site at 10 p.m. They chat with the bot and ask, do you offer enterprise consulting? The bot checks its knowledge base and says, yes, we do. The client says, great, I want to book a demo.
In the old days, the bot would just drop a link and say, good luck.
Right. But with AI actions, the bot integrates with Calendly or cal.com. It can say, I can help with that. Looking at the calendar, we have a slot tomorrow at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. Which works for you?
So the user just clicks a button.
The user clicks a button and the meeting is booked. The bot actually did the work.
That is slick. What about support tickets?
Same thing. There's a Zendesk Sunshine integration. If a user has a complex problem, maybe their billing is messed up, the bot can try to check the status via Stripe. But if it gets stuck, it doesn't just loop.
Thank goodness.
It can create a ticket in Zendesk or escalate the chat to a human agent.
That escalation piece feels critical. I hate getting stuck in a loop with a bot that refuses to let me talk to a human.
It's the safety net.
Yeah.
You can't automate 100% of interactions. The goal is to automate the easy 80% so your humans can focus on the hard 20%.
And for anything that isn't natively integrated.
They connect with Zapier and Make.
The duct tape of the internet.
Exactly. So if you can dream up a workflow, when a user asks about pricing, send a message to the sales Slack channel. You can probably build it with Zapier. It unlocks infinite possibilities without needing custom code.
But I want to play devil's advocate here. We are making this sound magical. You upload a PDF, you get a genius employee. But AI isn't perfect. What happens when it gets things wrong?
That's the maintenance aspect that people forget. You can't just set it and forget it. Chatbase has a feature called Revise Answer, and honestly, it's one of the smartest parts of the whole platform.
How does it work? Am I, like, grading its homework?
Basically, the system gives answers a confidence score. If the bot isn't sure, or if you're reviewing the chat logs, which you should be doing,
Always.
and you see it gave a terrible answer, you can intervene. You don't have to re-upload your documents. You just click on that specific answer and say, no, actually, the return policy is 30 days, not 60.
And it learns from that?
It retrains on that correction. It creates a continuous improvement cycle. So the bot actually gets smarter the longer it talks to your customers.
Okay, let's pivot to the reality check. We've praised the features, but I want to talk about the limitations. Because if I'm a listener thinking about buying this, I need to know where it breaks.
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier that the decision tree days are over, but is that always a good thing?
Not always. And this is the single biggest trade-off with Chatbase. It does not have a visual flow builder.
So no drag and drop arrows?
None.
Why is that a problem?
Because sometimes businesses need a deterministic path. Let's say you're an insurance company. You need to ask 5 specific qualifying questions in a specific order before you can give a quote.
Like, how old is the car? What's the mileage? Who is the primary driver?
Right. And you can't skip question 2. With a visual builder, you force that path. With an LLM like Chatbase, you can tell it to ask those questions, but it's probabilistic. It might ask them out of order. It might skip one if the user distracts it with a side comment.
It doesn't have those rigid rails.
No rigid rails. So if you need a strict diagnostic quiz or a complex onboarding wizard, this might not be the tool for you.
That's a really important distinction. What about marketing? Can I use this to nurture my leads on WhatsApp?
Not really. It's not a marketing automation platform. You're not going to set up complex drip campaigns where you send a message, wait 2 days, check if they opened it, then send another. It's a reactive support tool, not a proactive marketing engine.
Let's talk about money, because the pricing structure has a few gotchas of its own. It starts with a free plan, 100 message credits, 1 bot. That's just for testing, right?
Strictly for testing. You will burn through 100 credits in about 20 minutes of just playing around with it.
Then the hobby plan is $40 a month for 2,000 credits. Standard is 150, Pro is 500. But I want to zoom in on this word credits because that feels abstract.
It's the most important part of the math. Think of a credit like a token at an arcade. Every time the bot opens its mouth to speak, it costs you a token.
So if I have a customer that's just chatting away, saying, cool, thanks, one more thing, every one of those replies is costing me money.
Yes. And if you're using GPT-4, sometimes it costs more credits per message than the cheaper models. This is where the budget anxiety can come in. If you have a chatty bot, or if you get a sudden spike in traffic, you can hit your limit very, very fast.
And what happens when you hit the limit? Does the bot just go silent?
It stops answering. Or you get billed for overages, depending on your setup. And this aligns with the user sentiment we saw in the research.
Yeah.
On Capterra, the reviews are great, 4.3 out of 5, because people love how easy it is to set up.
But
on Trustpilot, the score drops to 2.1 out of 5.
wow, that is a huge gap. What are the Trustpilot people angry about?
Almost entirely billing and support. People hitting credit limits unexpectedly, or getting a bill that was way higher than they thought. Or when something breaks, they feel the support response time is too slow.
So the advice here is do the math on your volume.
Invalidate the support SLAs during the trial. If your business runs 24/7 and the bot is your only line of defense, you need to know that chat-based support will be there if the system goes down on a Friday night. Don't just test the bot, test the company behind the bot.
Okay, strategic advice time. We've covered the tech, the pricing, the limitations. Why does all of this matter? Is this just a cool toy for tech-savvy startups, or is there a real future of work argument here?
I think it's the efficiency play. It's about redefining what human support is for. In the industry, we call it Tier 0 support.
Tier 0.
Yeah, so Tier 1 is your basic human support agent. Tier 2 is technical support. Tier 0 is a self-service. It's the layer that stops the question from ever reaching a human in the first place. Chatbase handles the FAQs, the where's my password, the order lookup.
Which frees up the humans to do what?
To do the things AI is still terrible at. Empathy. Complex problem solving, de-escalating an angry client who's threatening to sue. You want your humans handling high-value conversations, not copy-pasting links from a help doc.
It also feels like it changes the role of the person managing the bot. You're not a bot builder anymore.
No, you are a knowledge curator. And this is a profound shift. The quality of your bot depends 100% on the quality of your documentation.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Totally. So if your internal PDF is outdated and says your return window is 60 days, but the website says 30.
The bot will lie to your customer because you lied to the bot.
Exactly. Your job isn't to code. Your job is to keep your own house in order. It forces companies to actually organize their data, which is a benefit in and of itself.
There's also a lead capture angle we shouldn't ignore.
Right. The widget can ask for a name and email before the chat starts, so you're turning anonymous traffic people just browsing into tangible leads in your CRM.
That's the analytics. I imagine seeing what people are asking is pretty valuable.
It's a goldmine. You might think your product is perfect, but the analytics might show that 40% of people are asking, how do I turn this off? That tells you you have a product problem, not a support problem. You can see volume trends to know when to staff your human teams.
So, bringing it all home, what's the verdict on Chatbase?
I would say Chatbase is a sensible, low-friction option for small to mid-sized businesses that need fast self-service. If your hair's on fire because you have too many repetitive tickets, this is the fire extinguisher. It's reliable for knowledge retrieval. But if you need heavy orchestration, complex marketing flows, or those rigid decision trees, you need to look elsewhere. Look at the big enterprise tools. Chatbase is about speed and knowledge, not complex workflow mapping.
It feels like we're looking at the future of the company brain.
The winning businesses won't necessarily be the ones with the best AI models. I mean, everyone has access to GPT-4. The winners will be the ones with the best organized data to feed those models.
That's a great way to put it.
If you have great documentation, you have a genius employee. You have messy documentation, you have a confused intern.
So here is a practical takeaway for you listening right now. Start simple. You don't need to build the Oracle of Delphi on day one. Take your FAQ PDF, I know you have one buried in a folder somewhere, upload it to a test bot on Chatbase, and just see if it can answer your top 5 recurring questions.
And don't forget to try to break it. Ask it the hard question.
Exactly. If it can answer those top 5 questions, you have just saved yourself hours of human time every single week.
And that's time you can spend growing the business instead of answering tickets.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We talked about training the bot on company policy, but imagine training it on your company's culture. What happens when these bots become the primary face of your brand? We are moving into a world where your brand voice is literally an algorithm setting. That's a huge responsibility.
It's the next frontier of branding.
I want to thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We hope this deep dive gave you some clarity on whether Chatbase is right for your stack.
It was a pleasure to break it down.
Make sure to subscribe to the podcast for more insights on the future of work and these crazy sauce tools coming out. And if you want the full details, the nitty-gritty, we highly recommend reading the written review by Felix Romer. We've linked it right there in the show notes.
Definitely worth a read for the technical detail.
Until next time, keep learning.